Wow. Good morning. Yes, the collective West is in a bit of a quandary. They've sort of like boxed themselves into a complete and utter corner. Um, the war with Russia, which is sort of like the proxy war with Russia that NATO have been sort of engaged in, is turned into sort of like a more conventional war than they were planning, insofar as the fact it's chewing up equipment like missiles and bullets and things like that. Like there's no tomorrow. And one thing about Russia that has over the West is it's got a manufacturing base. Now the West over the past 40, 50 years have closed all its manufacturing bases down and moved its manufacturing abroad to the third world. Yeah. And so, because, looking down their noses at anybody who manufactures, as a manufacturer myself, people, second class citizens in this country. And, well, it's basically kind of bit them in the arse because the weaponry that they need to sort of conduct this war with Russia, a lot of the component parts of it and everything like that comes from the third world or comes from China, and they're picking a fight with China as well. So there's no way that they can rearm themselves. We haven't got the wherewithal to suddenly start building and making factories so we can start making bullets and guns and things like that again, because we just don't have the infrastructure to do it. We don't have the metallurgy. We don't have, the chemicals. We don't have anything. So basically, there's no way that they can conduct this war, the West. And the West has isolated itself from the rest of the world, thinking the plans that the neocons had of world domination, it's turned into world isolation. And all I can see is the collapse of the Western economies is happening around our very, very ears as we speak. And it looks really, really quite bad for the West at the moment. I think Russia is going to cut off the oil. It is going to cut off the gas because, until we learn our lessons, I think they will actually get very hard line with us, and the hard line is going to come sort of around about the August, September time, just when the winter starts to be obviously looming. Now they're rushing to fire up coal-fired power stations in Germany and everything like that. Like in Germany, we are so green, Oh yeah, so I know we were terrible in the First and Second World War and the first 20th century and everything like that, but we're so green and we're so good, and we're saying you're going to be fucking starving. Now, funny enough, the European economic situation is not that far dissimilar. Possibly it's going to go to the same way as what happened in Germany before the Second World War in the 1920s. And we could be looking at something like that. And even Germany was talking about rearming. I don't know how they're going to do it, but out of all the European countries, they have more manufacturing than the rest of us put together. So, they can turn plows into swords. We can't, as Britain. I mean, we've got I said the other day that our army was a tenth the size of the Ukrainian army. When you take in, there was quite exaggeration, I thought, but when you take into account the reservists and everything like that, they've been mobilized with the Ukrainian army. Yes, we are. Our army is a tenth. We don't have an army as such. We don't have weaponry as such. We don't have enough to conduct a ground war in Europe. So why we are threatening this, I really, really do not understand. The suicide of the West is just beyond astounding. When people look back at this thing, they say the West committed collective suicide. Why? Ciao.